Welcome to Tuesday at Two Lines. What's everyone doing? Hopefully everybody is doing well. Happy Tuesday. It has been a busy weekend and busy week already. I was off yesterday from work and spending the last bit of time with my kids, which was awesome. And gosh, it's just so good when they're home. We had some fun on the track on Sunday night, late though, so we didn't really get a chance to race. I was hoping we'd get some racing in, but I don't think they came down to the track until almost 11:30. So, but that was fun, and we had a wedding this past weekend that I officiated, and that went great. And yep. So, welcome. We've been working on some cars. Dusty and Josh are in the background tuning. It looks like they're jumping on YouTube so they can interact in the chat. But if there's anything you guys have questions for those guys while they race some laps, let me know in the chat. We'll tackle them. Right now they're running Group 5 sideways cars. We could go over to the race cam. Maybe. Oh. There we go. How's that? So, Dusty's running the STP Skyline. Josh is running his Elva. So we raced on Thursday at CincySlots this past week, and we're running vintage class and sideways Group 5. So they'll be working on some of those cars, probably tuning a little bit on the NSR cars, just trying to get some laps in with those before we head to the Nationals in November. Pretty excited about going up to Michigan and visit the guys at Cloverleaf and getting to meet up with some people that keep reaching out to tell me that they're going to be at the race. So that's kind of cool. Make sure if you are going to be at the race, well, I'm lagging. Hold on. Let's see if this fixes it. It might take a minute. Make sure I've got everything closed that needs to be closed. Force quit. Go ahead and quit the browser just to make sure I've got plenty of resources for the live stream. We'll see how that goes. Let's go back out to default. So I'm still lagging a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you're seeing that. Let's see who all is here tonight. Daryl Rogers is here. Hey, Daryl. Wow. Every week. This looks different. So welcome, Daryl. It was great racing with you this week. A lot of fun. There we go. A little better. Chris is in the house. Hey, Chris. The Fingers is in the house. Thanks for joining, John. Appreciate you. Chris Freder is here. D'Angelo sent me a really cool video that I watched earlier before we started, and it was a DIY slot car controller, and it looks fantastic. So, D'Angelo, thanks for sending me that. It's really, really cool. If anybody's interested in that, I'll post a link out there. But, yeah, fantastic. And it's not just a slot car controller. This is like high-end slot car controller. Has a LED screen, a menu. You can adjust lots of different things. It's cool. So, hey, John Tucci, welcome. Excuse me. Josh Reed is in the house. Hey, Josh. Hey, Josh. Two Line Slot Cars, thank you for all the help with the IR bridge. Yeah, man, hopefully you got it working. Mine is working really well. We were getting a random lap, and I adjust the debounce rate from 50 to 1 in the Arduino code. Just so you know, D'Angelo. We just did that tonight because Josh was so fast with his Corvette. And Dusty, the same thing happens to Dusty with his 908. We get some laps that are just, we can tell they're about 2/10 fast. And I changed the debounce rate to 1, and it has been flawless ever since. So you might check that in that sketch. Just if you start getting those. Gary Dunmore is in the house. I'm trying to find Melvin, a 26-pound Maine Coon cat, somewhere in our half-acre backyard. Oh, man, good luck. Hey, nobody's home. What's up? Gary Dunmore is in the house. Buzzkill, we are wax today. And I volunteered at the Cattlemen's Company in Fairfield County at the Fairfield County Fair today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I helped fix probably 300 or 400 cheeseburgers and a bunch of ribeye steak. So it might be a little bit of grease in there from that. All I know is this afternoon I smelled like a cheeseburger. So John Tucci, Mr. John Albright. Welcome, John. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. If I did, I apologize, guys. Okay, found Melvin. That's good. Chris, all is well. Found Melvin. He has some guys practicing for the NSR races at his track tonight. Yeah, we can throw them back up here to the race cam. You can watch some laps. That camera angle looks really good. Most everything is in focus. The driver's in focus. See, Josh is running on the white lane. Dusty's running on the white lane. Josh is running on the red lane tonight. Just for future reference. Wax on, wax off. Tad. Dusty's M6A or B. Oh. There we go. All right. We're back at it. HSF, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, Nick V. Hey, George. What's going on, man? George is probably busy printing stuff. I know Shotgun Dave was today. Dusty's trying to keep up with Josh. Josh is running some fast laps tonight. GST Racing, welcome. Enjoy the interview with Marco from Electric Dreams. Thanks, GST. That was fun. If you noticed, the plumbing was front and center in that interview. And don't tell my wife, but she flushed the toilet in the middle of that interview, and we all got a pretty good laugh about it. But of all the other brick walls we could shoot as the background, Marco picked the plumbing behind my head. But no, it was fun. It was a good interview. Collection, welcome. Hey, Ben. Appreciate you stopping by tonight. So I don't know. We got some things that we can talk about. I released the video on the C1 Team Cunningham Corvette on Thursday of last week. So it was after the live stream. I had it. I kind of alluded to something over on the table, but I didn't show it because we weren't supposed to do anything until Friday. And then slot car magazine over in Europe posted on Wednesday night later, which was Thursday for them, I think. And then Travis posted about it, and I asked Marco what he wanted me to do, and he told me to go ahead and release my video. So Thursday morning, 6 a.m., I released my review video. And I think that there were I've been answering lots of questions about it, like measurements and, wheelbase and all kinds of things like that. And I'm kind of mad that I didn't measure some of those things while I had it, but Jim Rose has it now, and I'm sure he will be working on a detailed review video to follow up mine. But guys, this car is really interesting. I had somebody ask me today if I would explain kind of the difference between the C1 Corvette and a Revo slot. And let me grab a Revo slot. So this is, I'm going to come back to this view. So this is a 333 SP Ferrari Revo slot. And here is and most of you probably have a Revo slot. If you don't, it's an all-aluminum chassis. It has a motor pod plate that the guide and the motor pod and the rear axle, everything is connected to. And then there's a body plate where the front axle is connected and the body is connected to it. Okay? So remember that. On the C1, if you look at the pictures that I posted in that video, or looked at the chassis, it is an aluminum chassis, but it actually has a motor pod more like this type of motor pod. So the whole chassis is aluminum except for the motor pod, and then the motor pod is a slim can motor with slotted gears and axles, but it is a plastic motor pod like a slotted motor pod. This is in an SR car, but same principle, right? It basically had two screws on the front and the back of the pod, and then it didn't have screws on the sides, but it had pins that basically controlled the movement of that pod. But it's a hybrid, so aluminum chassis, and the body had a mounting system that the mounting system floated, and so the body really wasn't attached to the chassis except for through this mounting system. Okay, so it's a new way, some advanced engineering on having some highly tunable body float. And then the aluminum chassis, everything else attached to the aluminum chassis except for the motor and the rear axle gear setup, right? And so like it's really interesting design. I'm really curious to see how it works. And the first thing Jim Rose, I don't know if Jim's on tonight. The first thing he said when he asked me, hey, you're sending that to me, and he had some questions. He said, did you put braid on it and try it on a track? And I'd promised Marco that I would not do that. And he was like, dang. I think he was wanting to do the exact same thing. But yeah, it is a fantastic. Hey, Gina, welcome. Thanks for joining tonight. Hey, Steven. Thanks for the kind words earlier, bro. I appreciate you, man. Hey, Terry, man. Good evening. Thanks for joining. 27 pounds is a good size. A friend had a 30-pound cat and a white cat named Sluggo. Even the neighborhood dogs stayed clear. Mr. Paint R1. Hey, Gary. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you jumping in the chat. I think it might be the first time we've seen your name in the chat, but hopefully you've been hanging out. Feel free to ask questions. And okay, you're lagging too, but I think I've got it fixed now. Is anybody lagging now? PP Dangler, Yo, what's up? Little latency issues, jumpy. Yeah. So I have a Stream Deck, and anytime I try to run the Stream Deck, I get some latency. And it's driving me crazy because I really like the Stream Deck. Greg, I'm about as ready as I'm going to be, I think. I'll do a little bit of cleanup down here just to make sure everything's clean. It is a basement of an old house. So it does get a little dirty and dusty down here sometimes. So I'll get all that cleaned up before next week. So we'll be good. We'll be good to go. It'll be fun. I'm excited. Let's see. Tony, I made my first live. My wife just came out of the garage and told me off. I was working on my Ferrari and didn't realize the time. That's fantastic, Tony. I'll have to go out there and check it out. Chief Redback, welcome. That's why we call Melvin the puppy cat. Ben, at least 4 of us from Mike's Man Cave in Elyria, Ohio will be at the Nats. Ben, that's awesome. I look forward to meeting you guys. That's really the main reason. I'm not going to be competitive at the race. We'll get my butt kicked, but sorry, sneeze. But it'll be fun to meet people. That's my hope, is we get a chance to meet a bunch of people that we talked to in the live stream, but we've not been able to meet in person. So I'm looking forward to that. I really am. It's a Secret Weber. Hey, gang, welcome. Yo, John Mark, welcome. Thanks for joining, buddy. Lip syncing tonight. I should be back, I think, hopefully. Collection, I'm always lagging. Thanks, Michael. That's funny. I think I've got it fixed, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Hey, Daniel. Welcome. Man, we got a lot of people in the stream tonight. 74. Jeesh. Hey, so fast. So yeah, going back to the C1. Hopefully that explains the difference, because I've had a lot of questions about the difference from the chassis design and a RevoSlot chassis, and they're not the same car. Just because it's a metal chassis, aluminum chassis, it's a different concept, and it's not a small car, so it's not like a Group 2 car. It really is going to be a class of its own, and what we know about that is they're going to do the Ferrari and an Aston Martin and the DB7, and I forget which Ferrari they're going to do. And when they release those, they'll probably release those with multiple liveries. An MR Slot car has typically released cars in 3s, except for the Shadow. So I think we'll get the C1. This is just me guessing. I'm trying to read between some of the lines, but my guess is the C1 will release in the Team Cunningham car, the white with the blue racing stripes. And then when they release the others in 2025, we might get multiple liveries of those cars and maybe more C1s. But that's just a guess. Just from talking to Marco and some other people online and reading a bunch about it, I would say that we'll have multiples in that class by, end of 2025. It will probably be able to be a class on its own. And I think that's probably the best thing, is to not run it against other things, just run it against like cars. But until they release some more, you won't be able to do that. It'll just be a one-off. So some people aren't happy about that, but Michael Squire, Corvettes rule. Yes. Menards is selling 164 slot car sets now. I wonder what brand they are. Auto World? It might be fun to pick up an HO because I've been watching Steve's videos and Dan's videos where they take HO cars and put them on the 132nd track, the Carrera track, and Polycar for Steve. But that would be fun to try those. So that'd be a way to get some cars. So I'll have to check Menards the next time I'm over there. Hey Joe, thanks man. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Are you guys seeing any weird laps? That's awesome. Good. That's right, Dad. I missed my chance to see Marty at the fair. At our fair. Chris, were you at the Fairfield County Fair? Is that your fair? Chris, I will be back probably Friday night at the livestock sale. So, yeah, I will probably be buying animals for work at the livestock sale. So that's cool. So Chris, you're way closer to us than I realized. Alan, Josh, new guy. Alan asked if you were the new guy. New guy? Alan's out there. Scott's out there. Scott, we missed you on Thursday. Hopefully you're doing all right. Steve, what's up, Alan? Hey, Alan. Hey, Mike. Mike, we're doing some preparation, getting some laps in, just practice for the Nationals. We're excited. We're excited about it. So, looking forward to more information as we get closer, and it'll be good to hang out. But man, we're bumping up against it. What are we, like 5-6 weeks out? Something like that. So that's cool. Mark Bondi. Welcome, Mark. So did I finish talking about the C1? So hopefully ADHD got in the way. So hopefully that explains the difference between a Revo slot and what MR Slot Car is doing with their hybrid chassis. And that's what I would call it, because it's got a plastic motor pod and then aluminum. Guys, it even though it was non-working, everything was super smooth on that car. The gearing was smooth. The axles, just, you're talking about high-quality bushings. The front end was well-designed and adjustable. So you'll be able to adjust the right height of the front and the guide. So I like that aspect of it. But I think it's going to be a very smooth car. So we'll see how much traction we get with those skinny tires. John Albright promises me that that they will do better than I'm expecting. So I'm looking forward to that. Hey, Mark Cunningham. Thanks. Yeah, Daryl wants to know, where were you last week? Slot R. Hey, Dave. Thanks for staying up late, brother. I appreciate that. I know how late it is for you over there. Hey, Brandon. Good evening. Slot Car League of Champions is in the house tonight. Cheers. Got caught at work, had all my stuff with me, but couldn't get out of the office. Man, I know how that is. Most of the time when I miss on Thursdays, it's because I get trapped in the office. Hey, Chris, thanks. It's going to be a cool car. I think that if you pre-ordered that car, you're going to be very happy with it. One, the body detail is great. I think it looks fantastic. That C1 Corvette is a beautiful car. We have a buddy, John Mark, a friend of his, has one that's a C1, and it's really, really cool. So yeah, I think we're excited about that C1 coming out, and I'm guessing that you probably will see it ship before the end of the year. I think the date everybody keeps bouncing around is like Christmas. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll hit before. But I know that they would really like to ship it before the end of the year. So hopefully all of you who pre-ordered will get yours before New Year's, and we can all celebrate a cool new car to play with while we're off work for the Christmas holiday. So hopefully that happens. Chris asked, I wonder how many pre-orders there are for the C1. Well, the rumor that we saw going around was they only made 1,400 on this run. So I would say that we'll start seeing that car sold out all over the place. So it's definitely a car, if it's something you're interested in. I know it's not a car that everybody's interested in. I've had lots of conversations where they're like, I'll pass, but maybe when the Ferrari comes out or maybe when the Aston Martin comes out. And I would agree, but I think I'll probably end up with one of each because I think it's going to be a fun car. So that's my hope. But I would say that all 1,400 of them will be gone before you know it, Chris. But I do not know how many I've not heard that number. Nobody's shared with me. They have no reason to share with me what kind of numbers. But I would say that there was a big portion of that 1,400 that got sold on day one on Friday. Hey, DG Raceway, welcome. Michael Squire ordered the C1, but it does have some body proportion issues. Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect. I think that like any of the molds that we see, they're not perfect, but maybe they made those changes just so that it might perform as a slot car better. Again, I think that's I don't know Ernie. I've never had a conversation with Ernie outside of a couple messages on Facebook. But I would say that the performance of that car is probably just as important to him as the look of the car. And so, rivet counters might not be completely happy, but I think it's close enough. I think it really looks good. And once you get it in your hands, I think you'll be pretty happy with it. Slot R, yeah, we don't know the numbers on the white kit. I'm guessing, there's probably a lot of those. So when you add them both together, we might be looking at 3,000 total cars. I don't know, somewhere around that number, but that's just a guess. But it's cool that they're releasing a white kit at the same time. So then people that will help if it becomes a club group, class. So people could run the one livery that's available, or they can paint it up however they want. So I got a lot of pushback on my video from guys correcting me because on the case it says Le Mans winner, and it was a class winner, and people said there were only Corvettes in that class, and there were only 6 of them. So there was going to be a Corvette that won that class, but it's still a class winner. So it's not the overall winner. A Ferrari was the overall winner in 1960. I get it. I was just reading the description of the car. But I had some guys like, I don't need to nitpick, and that's okay. I appreciate the history. That's part of what I love about slot cars is the history of it. So, but I just thought it was funny that lots of guys, hey, Alan, lots of guys really like the details matter to them, and I'm a details guy, so I appreciate it. I'm not complaining, so I'm not offended that you sent me those messages. I thought it was great that the history was important. The history of the car was important to you because it was important to me. I actually went out and did a bunch of reading. Probably should have done it before I did my video, but I'd ran out of time. Who else do we have? But yep. Yeah, Michael, I am too. I'm excited to see what Slot R will do. He's made some great cars up till now. and I'm sure he will do the Corvette justice. Slot Car League of Champions asks, has anyone heard of SRC, MCS, and Cartrix slot cars? If so, are they any good? We have a couple of SRC slot car. They do a lot of Porsche 914s, and I've got two here that are John Marks, the white and the orange. And they're great running cars, but they have a model called a Cronus, I think, and that's kind of like their racing. So they've come with like metal gears and aluminum wheels and a little wider tires, and those cars perform really well. MCS and Cartrix, I am not familiar with those brands. I had somebody send me a chassis from somewhere in Florida. They sent me like information about it, and it was a 1/32 scale, like looked like a brass type chassis that you could put a mount of body on. And I thought about ordering one just to check it out, but I don't think it was MSC or Cartrix was the name. So Slot Car League of Champions, who that helps you. Center section and body plate, just like a flexi car. Oh, John, you're talking about Revo, right? Yep. Hi, George. Are things in your part of Carolina? Yeah, he's probably getting some rain right now. No pod like the Vet. I had that car, very noisy. Vin, are you talking about the 333? Noisy? Mine was too, until I run the gears in and got the mesh right. And once I adjusted the mesh, it really quieted down, and it's pretty smooth. It runs pretty good, but it is a little louder than the others. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, a little stronger color than white. I get that. Does anyone have tips for tuning? Let's see. Well, first, Chris says, yes, SRC makes some beautiful Porsche 914 6s and a lot of rally cars. Yeah, I agree. They're pretty cool cars. And then, does anyone have tips for tuning the Scalextric Trans Am Mustang? I'm tuning the tires, but the rear loves to kick out. Typical Stang. D'Angelo, is this the scaly Mustang you're talking about? If it is, go out there and order a 3D chassis for it. I believe CincySlots has a chassis kit, and that's what you want to do. It's worth. They become really good runners. It's worth the investment in the 3D printed chassis. So that's what I would do. I don't know what model this is. 2890. This doesn't have a model number on it. It says Ford Mustang. Yeah. I think Slot Car Corner has the CincySlots chassis kit for it. That's what I would recommend. Hey, Daniel Thomas. They run well with Fly and Ninko cars. Yep. Mike, I opt for the pre-paint so I don't have to. I like it. They make awesome street cars. I'll have to check them out. Secret Weber, Marty, a gorgeous car. I think the only one I held up was this one, and I like this car, yes. It's a fun car to drive. James Tharp, welcome. How about those Mets? That's right. My buddy Mike is really happy with the Mets. Muddy Helmet, this is awesome. I should probably take you back over to the racetrack. Sorry, guys. Hopefully, I didn't mean to steal you away from the laps. But Muddy Helmet, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thanks. Vin asked, Marty, what is the length of your track? We are right at 60 feet in lane length. It's like 59 and some 59.6, something like that. So we're right at 60 feet. The table is about 26 feet long, 8 feet wide. Muddy Helmet, try OBS Studio. I'm using Ecamm Live, and it's my computer. It's not the program. I have used OBS, and I find Ecamm for me is so much easier, especially if I bring on a guest, which I haven't in a long time. I probably need to do that. Slot Car League of Champions have all three. The MSC competition cars come with OG Scale Auto chassis. The only Kartix car I have are Grand Prix Classics. Okay, cool. KR Bridges, happy Tuesday from Western PA. Just breaking in some motors for the January Home Racing World Showdown. Excellent. I have not started my Showdown car. I have a feeling that I probably won't even get to it until after the Nationals in November, and then I'll spend all of December working on it. Are pink car slot cars any good? John Albright can answer that. I think he's done some tuning to some Volkswagen. I think I've got John Mark has one Volkswagen back here that we keep on display. It gets around the track okay. It's fun, but it's not, it's not made to compete with NSRs or Revo slots or any of those. The CIA black site basement, Brandon. That's right. Thanks, guys. I finally got to the comments on my sneeze. Marty, with our help, you'll do well at the race. You have a very good vintage car. Greg, yeah, my vintage car is close. It's my Corvette that I need to work on. So I'll get it there. Early SRC cars are basically flies with more motor. I would agree with that, John Albright. Hey, Todd, welcome. Good to have you tonight. Daryl, waiting for the Ferrari. Oh, where did that go? Waiting for the Ferrari if it has a color. I'm guessing that Ferrari is going to look like the 1960 winner, Le Mans winner, and whatever that color was. I feel like there were lots of white cars back then, 1960 Le Mans race. The DB7 seems to... Okay, why did it jump on it? Seems to run with the C1. Yeah, I think they'll make those all to run together. Hey, DW Barker, don't worry about being late, man. That's why we record it and put it out there for people. Yeah, DG, great to recognize Chris's work on the Dodgems, the magnetic racing Dodgems. They look fantastic. He did an awesome job. HO cars have too much magnet for 1/32 scale rails. The motors get hot quick. I'm sure they do, John. No doubt. Thank you. I'm waiting on finishing parts to arrive. Still painting the bumper cars and people. Curvy. Why does Marty need to buy livestock for work? My wife wants to know what a bank does with livestock. All right. All right. We operate a food bank. No, that's not it. It's supporting 4-H. So it's a project. So we're buying kids' projects in 4-H. and basically we turn them back to the packer. So we're not, I think at the Ross County Fair I bought about 60 projects. That's a lot of hogs, chickens, rabbits, steers. It's so no, we don't do anything with them other than we buy projects, support the local 4-H and FFAs. We are an agricultural bank, so we do a lot of farm. We bank a lot of farmers, and so it's some of the best marketing and advertising I do every year. It's a large portion. We're at 7 county fairs in our footprint, and it's important support that we do in the community. So that's why a banker would go buy livestock. That's a fair question, though. Thanks for asking, Kirby. This is the last one of the year. Fairfield County is this week. That's Lancaster. So it's always the week before the pumpkin show. Next week, the pumpkin show in Circleville, Ohio, which is the largest pumpkin show in the world. And I'm a sponsor of the Great Pumpkin Weigh Off. So we'll be there on Wednesday weighing in giant pumpkins that weigh 2,500 pounds or more. With this year, it's going to be hard to tell. It was so dry with the drought. They probably really struggled to grow pumpkins. I know that we've lost some. People found rot, and it's disappointing. They do a lot of work on those pumpkins to grow them that big. Just got home from club racing. What a crash fest! 5 racers and 2 ghost cars. Jerry's like, crash fest. That's all right though. That's still fun. Who cares, Eric? Who cares Thursday? Look like Marty is going to make the Shadow a shelf queen. The Shadow is. I tuned it up a little bit. I need tires for it. I forgot to get tires from Bruce on Thursday, but I'll get that. Marty, an hour and a half away, came through Chillicothe on Saturday, coming back from my brother-in-law's. That's awesome, Chris. An hour away. What is it running, Josh? What are you running? Corvette. And it's running 4.9s? Yeah, it's fast. 4.9s, 4.8. Ooh. So Josh has run a 4.881 with his Corvette. That's about 0.2 off the track record. And the track record is probably not fair because it's probably a Mosler that's probably got some mag effect motor on it. So that is probably for a no magnet NSR car. That's definitely the GT track record. Although, I don't know, Dusty's got some with his 908. It's got some lap times down around that. I wonder how well the slim can will power the C1. Should be enough for the skinny tires. Vintage, correct. Yeah, Michael, I think that John Albright seems to think those tires will be just fine. And, who knows what happens. I'm sure that tire manufacturers will jump in and, make some tires for other surfaces and for other compounds, but prepping those rubber tires properly, I'm sure you can probably, make it happen. I think that the slim can is probably perfect matchup for that chassis. That would be my guess. Let's see here. Is the C1 Vet an 18K? 18.5K, Jerry. Yep, 18.5. They said 1/3 of the C1 cars are going overseas. That's impressive. I mean, it's an American car. But I could see that other I could see that being the case. There's a lot of people overseas that like those Corvettes, so it will be a very popular car. Oh, Chris, I'm sure you did. I have no doubt in my mind. Tad, I got to catch up on your videos. Need to start back on my NASCAR. Yeah, DW Barker, I need to start on my NASCAR too. Sending my raffle car to Harry tomorrow. That's Tad. That's awesome that you build a raffle car. Yeah, guys, so you'll have to watch out for that. Tad builds some great cars. If you would like to win one of those, they will be selling raffle tickets when we get closer to the event in January. And that's cool. Thanks, Tad, for doing that. That means a lot. I'm sure Harry appreciates that. I expect body proportion problems with HO, but always hope that 132nd can do much better. Yeah, DK Moon, I don't know. I'm not a big Corvette guy, C1 especially. So when I look at it, I don't notice the proportion issues, but I'm not comparing it to like an original picture. So I didn't think anything stood out to me, but I'm just the casual observer. So. George, rivet count this. Who cares? That's funny. Yep. If you like it, buy it. I agree. George, I could have said worse. It's all good, George. Yeah, George is right. Nothing's perfect, Tad. You're right. I still love the Thunderslot Mustang, even though I have some proportion issues. DK Moon, that's a great comment. Yeah, Thunderslot built that Mustang to race. And my first slot car race that I won was the Thunderslot Mustang because that car is super fast, and in that class, nothing else compete with it. Just nothing else is close. But, it is a little wider than the Mustang originally is. Might be a touch longer. The wheelbase is a little longer, but again, Thunderslot makes no bones about they're making race cars, right? And so I think that's what we're looking at. So again, if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it, right? And I don't want that to come across negative. It's just you have the choice to what you buy and what you don't buy, and if you don't like it, that's all right. You don't have to spend your money on it. You get to pass and wait for the next Revo slot to come out or whatever cars you do enjoy. So that's why it's cool. John Albright says, have one on pre-order myself and plenty of cars with slim cans and 7mm wide tires. Can't wait. Yeah, John, I can't wait to see how you get yours tuned up. That'll be fun to watch that go around your scaly track. See you, DG. Thanks for stopping, man. Bye. Appreciate you. DJ Patrick is in the house. Welcome, DJ. Jump in on the SRC talk. The Porsche 919 is a great car, too. I agree. I have this SRC. That's the one Josh is talking about. I need to put new tires on it. That car is awesome. And it is a lot of fun to drive. Anybody have any ideas what the new NSR car is going to be? Josh and I were looking at the picture, the peak that they have, and I can't. Yeah, John Mark's 914s are SRCs. They're cool cars. Daryl, my Pantera I ran Thursday was an MSC. That's right, Daryl. So MSC is related to Scale Auto a little bit, right? Yes, Chief Redback, the livestock is for 4-H. John, I have a couple of project cars that I planned a slim can for, slim tires, MGA, Triumph. Michael Squire, I agree. I am ordering the same thing for this body, my Bug. And the chassis that I built for it, the only way I can get that chassis to work with the Bug is by going with like the slim tires, and so that's how I'm going to finish that car. So a slim can would make that easier, But I think if I just go with the slim tires, I'll be in good shape. Was that? Yeah. Question: does anyone use a carpet tape to hold down their plastic track? Patrick, I don't. But I changed my track enough, except for this track. This layout I haven't changed in October. It will be 1 year we've had it. Here you go. Slot Car Corner Collections, CG Slot Cars Chassis. Oh, thanks, George, for the Mustang. Thanks for posting that. Fantastic. D'Angelo, that's Buzzkill's name. His real name's D'Angelo. Or strip to the bare chassis and rebuild it from the ground up. Runs great and is fun to do. Nobody, I agree. But I really enjoyed with the, converting my CUDA, my Skelelectric CUDA to a 3D chassis. That was a lot of fun. But tearing it down and rebuilding it yourself is great too. Tad, I know time is running out. I got to get it finished. Maybe I'll try to work on that this week. I've got an order I've got to send in to Mike for my NSR cars for the Nationals, and then I could probably get some of those parts from Bruce on Thursday. So I'll work on that, Tad. I'll try to do an update this week. A bug for the shotgun challenge. Good idea, Tad. All right. I know we're running up on the deadline for that. I measured today 66 feet in the middle lane, average lap time 7.5 at 9 volts. That's cool, Vin. Vin, yours is a wood track, right? That's cool. It's always good to know how long your track is. George says he has done one. Skelelectric Trans Am cars can be tuned to run fine as is. Just don't expect to break any track records. Yeah, I mean, again, you're running them in class, right? So John's right. Like, you just tune it to get it to run the best it can and go have fun with it. The only pink car I have is a Bug Vert tuned with a California drop. It's a fun little runner. It runs well, but my buddy's Trans Am Camaro is screaming with a bit of weight. It's all stock, and he simply threw a washer in front of the motor for weight, and it literally runs on a rail. Nice. That's cool. So it might be tires too. He might have some great tires. The car runs almost full speed through my hairpin, which is nuts. That's wild. My Camaro and Mustang TA cars run well. I have had lots of fun with them. Yeah, we run a modified Trans Am. And I don't know if the Thunder slots will be available this year to run in that. If not, I'll run my CUDA. It's not a perfect car, but it's fun. It's fun to drive, and it's fairly quick. It's not going to be a race winner, but it'll be fun. What time is it? 8:53. My Falcon says otherwise. Tad, I was in FFA soil judging. Yep, that's dirt. That's awesome. You support 4-H clubs in your area. Yeah, Curvy. We actually, I almost hate to admit how much money we spend on 4-H and FFA and county fairs. Like last night, we bought a peach pie at the auction. It was $250. And when I got to the fair today, Rhonda, she had a piece of it saved for me, which I thought was really, really nice. And then I quickly got to the office and realized that my boss loves peach pie. So I gave it to my boss and told him that Rhonda sent it to him. So that she would get the kudos, because she was the one that saved the piece for me. But it's $250, right? It's a pie that should cost $5 or $10. But those things are important. They're important to our community. It's those organizations are raising our next leaders, and you just never know who you might impact when you're. That's a lot of pumpkin pies. That's right. Well, the world's largest pumpkin pie will be in Circleville. The local bakery, Lindsay's Bakery, makes it. They're probably making it now. But they don't cut it and eat it because by the end of the week, it starts molding on the bottom. It's pretty nasty, actually. And then they haul it out to a farm and feed it to a bunch of pigs. The Camaro is a wider car and does better than the Mustangs in our club racing. Yep, that's a great point, Daryl. People tend to like the Camaro better because it has this a little wider track, does a little better. 4-H is awesome. Me and my wife are shooting instructors, and my child has been in 4-H since she was itty bitty. That's awesome. Fantastic. Thanks for volunteering. We need great leaders. Gary, how many volts do everyone run their cars on? Because I run on 18. Gary, we run this track right now 12.2. Why 0.2? I don't know. That's just where it's set. There's a guy over here in the UK going for a Guinness World Record with his pumpkins at the moment. Tony, that's awesome. We broke the record for our festival last year, and it was massive. But it wasn't the world record, I don't think. So, let's see. Racer Sideways, 17K motor. Track record is 6.347. That's a Racer Sideways with a 17K motor. Those Racer Sideways cars, I always felt like they're a little overpowered. And Daryl has one that has like a 17K motor in it. That is one of the best driving cars I've ever had on the track. So good. Daniel asked, Daryl, are you racing the NSR Nats? That's a good question, Daryl. Daryl, we can't keep up with the fast kids either, so it's all good. I appreciate the feedback, and to be fair, I do like Camaros. Yeah. I think you will have better luck with the Camaro than the Mustang. The Mustang is really narrow. So, just got a dozen tires from Bobcat. Going to be a busy weekend truing tires. Awesome. Yeah, I haven't seen Bob in the chat, but Bob usually is here on Tuesday nights. Great guy. He sent me some tires to test, and they are just shy. I mean, we run silicones, and his are urethanes, but those things run great. And then on my test track that I've just been running only urethanes on, the cars that I put those urethanes on to test, the Carrera cars, they scream around that track. Those tires really perform well. So if you're looking for urethanes, give Bob a chance. Kirby, are the guys maxing out the trigger going down the straight to turn one? So I would say yes. They probably hit max speed about the pit garage just before they get to the start-finish line, which is the Michelin bridge right there, just in time to hit the brakes for that first right-hander right there. So your brake point is just after the bridge into turn one, and then you got the pretty sharp, we call it the hairpin, but it's not really a hairpin turn there at the end. So you've got two quick right hands there, and then back to the left, right, across the bridge, and then the left kink. There's a lot of people come out on this left kink right here. It's a tricky little turn. So, all right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mike, you're right, Michael. Yeah. You're welcome to give them a hard time. The rivet counters would have kittens running commercial track cars. John is right. The commercial track cars, they don't even look like cars, man. Drives me insane. What? Yeah, and they don't even look like a NASCAR sedan. It's just a blob of Lexan, which I think is why we're seeing this resurrection of 1/32 scale, like this, not resurrection, like this like explosion of awesome 1/32 scale cars being released. I mean, I'd like to know how many new cars are being released in 1/32 scale in 2024. I don't know. There has to be close to 100 cars from all the. I mean, well, actually, probably more than that. There's probably a couple hundred cars. I mean, you've got 50 cars coming from Scalextric and Carrera. Probably 100 cars between those two by themselves. So, like, that is what's really pretty cool. And that's what makes it fun. So many choices right now. So many choices. Hey, Joe. Good evening, all at Jordan Davis concert with Jen. She went to go pee, so I had to pop on and say hi. Thanks, man. You're probably already gone since I saw this, but thanks for jumping in. She's back. You gotta go. Okay. That's right. Michael, my only race winning car was driven by a cat. That is perfect. It was not just any cat, Michael. It was Hello Kitty. Don't you forget it. Hello Kitty doesn't mess around behind the wheel. I'm guessing most rivet counters are collectors and not racers. Maybe. I mean, I think that it's all right to demand, like, to want them to build cars that are exact. But that's probably a pretty expensive mold. So there's probably, you have to weigh cost of building a very highly detailed mold. I mean, when you look at the mold that flies build, I mean, they have lots of detail. Probably one of the most detailed cars out there. And that's because that's important to them. But then you deal with not the best performing chassis and not high quality wheels and components and axles, right? And there's a trade-off just because we, the consumers, expect the cars to come in at a certain price range. Michael Nemes is making crazy 124 scale cars that are like $1,200, $1,500, and they're amazing detail. That's what it takes to build a highly detailed car. So, like, let's remember that, right? So we're hoping that the car comes in at $69 or $74 or $89, and to get a car priced at that point, you're probably not going to get tons and tons of exact perfect detail. Livestock with every new account is so much better than a toaster. That's right. Come in and get a free pig, or we're giving away goats. Yep, at 55 mile an hour going down the track, it's tough to count those rivets and see that detail. But they look good on the shelf. Tim, if you're mobile, wire in female USB ports to both sides of the switches set up and super easy power jumpers. Yep. Thunderslot built the Mustang the way Ford should have. That's a fair statement, Daryl. Hey, Jamie. Thanks for tuning in, bro. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Oh. I will count a few rivets and we'll run my cars. No shelf queens here. Me either, Michael. No shelf queens. All right. Catch you next time, D'Angelo. I have 150 plus tracks, so parties need fast up down. The standard to judge the C1 by is the Ninko 58 Vet. They need to get a 4H Club slot car group. There you go. Gene, hi, I'm from Brazil. Beautiful track. Thanks. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you jumping in the chat. Welcome from Brazil. Mad P. A little late. That's okay. No worries, man. No worries. John, I expect you to post a side-by-side pic when you get at the C1. The rocker panel depth is way too deep, but it will run better, I'm sure. It will be interesting to see how well it runs. I can't wait. But it does look right to you? Yeah, thanks, HSF. Yep, welcome. Vin, the 17K Baby Raptor is one of the best motors available. It fights above its weight class when kept wound up. Excellent power band as well. John Albright, I would agree. That's exactly the I believe that's the motor that Daryl has in that car. It's fantastic. In the HO slot car world, most, if not all, brands and styles of chassis are classified and documented. Is there anywhere on the interweb where I can find that info on the bigger scales of slot cars? That's a great question. I don't, unless one of the forums is doing it. I'm not sure that there is documentation out there on the chassis, on those chassis. That's a really good question. Vin, they look like commercial door wedges.
No, that's fine.
Limited edition. I would love to see the cool vintage Lexan bodies make a comeback. The 60s and 70s style with the modern chassis and tires would be fun. So I was not in slot cars back then, Jamie, so I've never run some of those. Hello, Kitty Bluer motor. Need to get a new one. Oh, Michael. Maybe that's why she ran so fast. Tim, you hit the nail on the head right there. My kids were down here and having a ball the other night in the middle of the night running slot cars, and that was so much fun. Shotgun Dave is in the house. That's all right, buddy. You've been printing all those hot rod kits everybody's buying. That makes them. That's worth it. Totally worth it. I don't know if anybody has seen that, but Shotgun Dave has released through Slot Car Corner a hot rod kit body. Yeah, we got a Thunder slot race going on right now, fellas. That's some good stuff. I wouldn't dismiss the Ninko. They can be tuned to run quite well stock. Put a 3D printed chassis under them and hold on. Yeah, I think there's going to be lots of options with the 3D printed chassis. I think that as more and more people get good at designing, I think we've got a lot of options. And more people, it's just getting so much more affordable to 3D print. I mean, heck, and with the resin printing for bodies, gosh, we got lots of options. Lots of options. Tim, are you asking like a dyno for slot cars? There's some dynos out there. I like to test motors. So see which ones are performing. But typically I just run them in and hopefully they improve. And I don't buy a bunch of buy a bunch of motors for one car. I just whatever motor it gets, and I don't usually get too hung up on that. You were the family taxi tonight. Welcome. The fact that the chassis change and there are so many types due to the fact most are only molded to the car they are made for, that file would be astronomical. Yeah, Greg, that's actually a great point. Yeah, so many chassis are made. And I noticed that, like, if you look at NSR chassis, sometimes they are proportionally, like the nose is changed based on the body, but then the rear part of it is pretty much the same. But Yeah, I mean, there's a different chassis for each and every car. So you're right. That would be a nightmare of a list to put together. Shotgun Dave, custom slot cars, wrong color car. I missed it. I'm not sure what. John, unfortunately, the green car is broken, hence the reason I'm being a taxi. Wife and I are sharing her car until mine is fixed. Oh, that stinks. Marty, your mate has got the hang of racing quickly. He's keeping up with Dusty pretty good. So, Tony, Josh is not a new guy on the track. He's been racing a while. He's been racing since he was a little kid. So he's quick. And he's been here before. So Tony, he's got, I don't know, Josh has probably got a few thousand laps on this track by now. Yeah. This is like your third time here?
Yeah, since the layout change.
Yeah, since the layout change, Josh has been here 3 times. So, and usually gets 1,000, 1,200 laps maybe in.
Somewhere up there. I'm up there.
Yeah, you guys are putting a bunch of laps on. So he's not a newbie at this track. It's not a newbie.
Still.
Let's see. I've got 5 different styles of Carrera chassis. Yeah, but they still mold them to meet the front ends, right? So like the 917 has a mold, and Josh is one of the fastest kids on the block. That's Jamie is correct. He runs some fast laps. He's getting around here pretty quick. Well, I'm looking at both of those laps. Guys, I'm getting my butt kicked. They're all 4.8s and 4.9s.
Yeah, that 4.6 was a ghost lap. Out of the 600 laps I've run, 1 has been a ghost lap. So the 4.7 was with a magnetic effect car.
Okay.
So that one's also not valid but true.
Yeah. So 4, 6, 8, 9. What's causing that? That's the only one we've had since I made that change, though. Greg says, I raced him when he was like 10 years old. Years ago. John, I do have a Ninko Cobra. Yeah, there's a Ninko Cobra right here on the shelf. John Mark's got a little pocket of cars back here. Yep. 913. So what else? There was something else I was going to talk about. So we talked about the C1. Talked about, a lot of people have reached out to me and said that they enjoyed the interview on Electric Dreams. I really appreciate the support, guys. I thought it was a great conversation. I thought we covered a lot of great topics. Marco did a great job, and I appreciate he and Carlos swinging by the house and visiting. That was very kind of them, and so it went well. So thank you for supporting me and going out there and watching that. It's a good conversation. You know, like I think ultimately we all want what's best for the hobby. But I think it's been fun for me today, at kind of a day after they've posted that, and over the weekend I had the C1 video, and then I posted a video from race night Thursday night at Bruce's. So hopefully Bruce, you know, guys, support Bruce. He does an awesome job of running a club track, and he's got a great store at CincySlots, and we appreciate him. He did not race on Thursday night, which allowed me to get to have a decent night. He and Josh both. Dusty did an awesome job in Group 5, finished P2, so he's got a podium, and so pretty excited. It's good to be back in season, you know. So as the weather's starting to turn a little colder, the weather we're into fall and the leaves are starting to turn. It's time to get back on the slot car track, and so I'm excited about this race season. So my vintage cars, I ran my Elva this past week. I probably will try my 908 because it's one of my favorite cars to run. It's just a fun driver. It's not quite as fast as my Elva, so I probably won't back that win up. but we'll have fun trying. That's for sure. But I should still be pretty good with the vintage. My Group 5 car, I really need to spend some time with it to get it, just tear it apart and clean it up and get it where it needs to be so I can run some decent laps with it. Let's talk about a 275-pound grown man that stomps on his cars when it performs under the bar. Finn, you never let him live that down. Hey, good night, Tony. Thanks for joining us, man. It's been great having you. Really appreciate it. Slot Car League of Champions got another question. Do larger scale slot car makers name the different chassis like Tyco 440, the Tomy turbo chassis and HO scale? I don't think so. I don't think that they Daryl Rogers is coming after Dusty and I this week. That's great, Daryl. Jamie's hoping to be there in 2 weeks. Fantastic. Hey, B2. Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate you. Daryl, you can beat me anytime you want. You sandbag. And that is true. Daryl sandbags all the time. I know it. I like to give him a hard time about that. Right. Yep, that's right. I agree. He enjoys running cars that he's worked on. Daryl ran a Pantera, the MSC Pantera, on Thursday night, and it's not a top-performing car, but it was the best-looking car. It was the best-looking car going around the track, easily. That car was awesome. Daryl, come on, I'm only 230. That's funny. Dave, you got to lay off the whole shots. New call sign for Daryl Rogers, bags. That's right. Terry Mann, Marty, being a newbie, I keep seeing the guys racing spray something on a pad and put the car on it. Okay, so we're running silicone tires, Terry, and on this track, what they're doing is they're just cleaning. So we put some Windex on a driver station that I've got set up that's got a little cleaning pad, and it's powered, and you just drop the car on it and clean those tires real good with silicone. We use Windex. We've used alcohol, Simple Green, anything like that. It doesn't leave a residue, and you'll get 30, 40, 50 laps with super clean tires, and then we clean them just so that you get the best traction. So it's the only problem with silicone. You have to clean them a little more frequently, but they do hook up when they're clean. So that's what we're doing. Don't feel bad about asking questions. But that's what they're doing. They're just cleaning the tires. I've just created a little station there that makes it super easy to clean tires. I'm indoor for the season. Gyms, basements, front dining rooms, carports, driveways rule in the summer. Yeah, the only thing about running outside, our buddy Chris does that. Chris Freder, who's in the chat, he races outside, and you got to deal with a lot of dust and pollen and all of that on your track. So that's the only problem with running outside. But like on a porch or something, that would be fun. Daryl is going for style points. Yes, Daryl, you do. Dave, you have a pedal commander in that SRT. Got to run. See you, Jamie. Thanks for tuning in tonight, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah, great conversation with Marco and Carlos. Thanks. Shout out to Electric Dreams for posting that. It was a fun conversation. I enjoyed it. Thanks for letting me hang out with the C1 for a few days. Jim Rose has it now, so we'll wait for Jim's review, which I'm sure he's probably working on tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if we see it tomorrow. I don't know what else. Talked about racing at CincySlots. Oh, I picked up a new car. We'll come over here for a second. There you go. New car. Another 908 NSR. And it's the Martini livery. And I'm not usually a big fan of Martini liveries, but the silver in this car, I like silver cars. And it looks great. The number 8. This is from the, where is this one from? Forget what race. But the 908-3 is one of my favorite cars. So this might get tuned, even though I've got Roxy, got the body saving her. She had a little accident, and my daughter Maddie, she got all upset because she thought she made me mad. She dropped it on the concrete floor and broke it. So I pulled it off the car, but we got it fixed. All is well, and it's ready to roll. So Maddie, if you're watching this, I doubt that you're watching this, but yeah, we're all good. So I put this body on it. I have yet to tune the chassis that came with it, but I'll get to that. That's what my order for Mike is going to be. But I got this from CincySlots at Bruce. He had 2 of them, and I just couldn't turn it away. It looked too good. I was planning to walk out of there without it, and I just couldn't. Couldn't do it. Looks awesome. And I'm surprised that it's really running the same laps as that chassis with Roxy on it. And Roxy's made to go lightweight, but I'm really running about the same lap times with this body. So I'll probably run that. That'll probably be my backup car for, I'll probably just take 2 908s, potentially 3 908s, if I can find the engine parts to glue back on. They're on in this mess I've got somewhere. So anyway, gosh, guys, what is it? 9:22. Any other questions out there? I see that I went all the way to the top. Very nice. I got mine tuned this evening. Excellent, Chris. It's a good-looking car. Yeah, I really like the 908. Good night, Tad. Jerry, thanks for tuning in. Let's go, Mets. Good luck. Let's see. I like the Silver Martini too. DK Moon, yeah, it's a great looking car. I'm really enjoying it. So hey, Racer X, welcome. We're just about to wrap up, but thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Terry, anytime. Don't hesitate to ask questions. We're happy to answer them, whether I answer them or somebody in the chat answers them. Jean, this is you're right. It's an amazing car. And it runs pretty quick laps. I'm running 4 9s on my track. I'm under 5 seconds with it, so I can't complain. Hey, Bob, welcome. Thanks for joining. Frank was 289, but is now a lean 263. Very good, Vin. It's good to see that he's taking care of himself. New car, me too. 67 Mustang Fastback, light blue. Granddaughter's working on her driver's name. I'm Joey Chitwood. Nice. That's great, Tim. Yep, so we'll get this tuned up, ready for the Nationals. I don't know. Do we cover everything in the slot car world? Good night, Gina. Thanks for tuning in. So I think it's about time to call it quits. I'll slide over, watch some laps for a few minutes. Let's see, what is that? That's the race laps. Phone. There we go. Oh, race. So watch the guys run some laps for a few minutes. Maybe I'll throw the 908 on the track. Hey, thanks, Patrick. Yeah, man, I'm a big fan of the 908s. I don't know. Is it obvious? Is it obvious that I like the 908? I love the 908. The 908 is an awesome car. So, good stuff. Yeah, anytime, like the Toblerone liveries, I have not picked one of those up yet, but I was planning to do that, and then I saw this one and had to get it. B2 asked a question, is there a standard way to identify the plus and minus lead on the motor? So if you're running analog, your let's see, your right lane is positive. Is that right? Positive polarity. So, I think it's the right rail is your positive. So that would be this side, your positive, and then on the motor, there should be a marking, a red mark. Do I have one? Yes. Yep. So if you look at the chassis, the motor has a red mark under the positive, which is this back post on this NSR, and the lead goes to the passenger side of the car. So hopefully that helps you. But the standard would be most of them have a red mark. So here's a motor. You can see, I don't know if you can see it in there. Let's do this. Go back to default. See the red mark? That's what you're looking for. That's NSRs. Here's a Predator. And it has a red mark. You can see it. And Thunder slot. I think this Thunder slot motor I have is old and it's been worn off. What else? Yep. Here's a red dot. That's your positive. Yeah. So hopefully that helps. The pilots drive very well. Yeah, these guys, they're quick on the. Good night, George. Yeah, John, what I always do is I usually have a 9-volt battery laying around, and that's just a great way to test. And so if you've got it wired up, you can just hit the bottom with a 9-volt battery and figure it out. Because John's right, sometimes motors will fool you. So, yep, not all motor cans are marked. Yeah, the Thunder slots weren't marked, but everything else were. Carreras were not marked, but all the aftermarket motors I had were marked. So, all right, guys, let's. I'm gonna throw you back over to the race cam, so you can actually watch some laps as we wrap things up tonight. This has been great. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate all of you guys. It's been a fun night, and thanks again for all the support. It really means a lot. I mean, 66 people are still watching, and 90 minutes in, that just blows me away. But some great things are happening for the channel. Got some exciting things coming with the Nationals race. And I'll do a full coverage video on that. trying to get down to our buddy Bernie's track so I can do some footage on his track while we race. Steve is hosting a pumpkin run race down near Louisville, so that's going to be on the calendar coming up. And then on October 19th, right? 19th? On here, we are doing a test race, and that's coming up pretty quick. And so, yeah, I'll try to live stream that. This camera angle will probably be all you see, because I probably won't have multiple camera angles, but this is not a bad place to watch the race from. And so if that's works out, we'll do a live stream from that Saturday. Again, that would be the 19th. I got to work out the start time. I think we'll probably end up running in the afternoon, but we'll see. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And go have some. Well, wait, Stephen Moore has a question. What is the average RPM motor used on your track, Stephen? We run a range from probably 18K to 25K. Any motor bigger than 25K is just too much for this track. To run in that, I would have to drop the voltage down, and I usually don't drop the voltage below 12 volts on this track. So 12 volts, 20K to 25K is kind of the sweet spot. So hopefully that answers your question. Thanks for the question. I appreciate it. But good stuff. We got a shadow. And Josh is back to his Corvette. So, all right, guys. Race it like you stole it, just like what Patrick said. Sounds good. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and go have fun racing.